Hello everyone, this is Daniel from fitnessblender.com, here to take you through another workout. Today we're going to be going through a sandbag and core component workout. So we're going to be doing a total body sandbag exercise coupled with a core specific exercise, moving back and forth between the two in an AB format, doing 2 sets of each. Once you have 2 sets of that group done, then you're going to move on to the next group, and we're just going to run our way down a list. We have 6 total groups to go through. So in that AB format, we're going to be doing 45 seconds on and 15 seconds of break or rest to get ready for that next exercise. There's not going to be any extra rest in between the groups as we move through these, so it's going to be a pretty quick transition from one to the next. So to get this routine done, you're going to need a sandbag or some other type of weight that you can swap it out with. So a kettlebell will work for most of these, a dumbbell will work for most of these, with a few modifications. You can also use pretty much anything you can think of in your house that has some extra weight to it. It just might need a little modification for each one of these exercises. So with that said, that's the only thing you really need is that extra weight. If you're doing this on a hard surface, you might want to have a mat for those core exercises. Otherwise, if you're on carpet, you should be perfectly fine. So before we start into that sandbag routine, we need to get a little bit of a warm-up in. So let's go ahead and start in with that. All right, so we're going to be going through pretty much every single muscle group of your body for this routine. So we want to make sure that we get a really good warm-up in. So let's go ahead and get started with our upper body. We'll start slowly working through the rest of it. So upper body first, nice big circular motion with those arms. Really try to open up that shoulder socket as much as you can. Just nice and slow, back and forth. Pause at the bottom, back around the opposite direction. Just keep alternating back and forth. Really opening that chest up, stretching those arms back behind you as much as you can, as well as pulling them up in front across your chest as much as you can. Just make sure that you're trying to switch which arm is on top as you roll those arms around. It's nice big circles. And go ahead and let it relax. We're going to do a nice slow motion pressing forward, then pulling back. So really work against yourself, that chest and upper back, squeezing back nice and tight, and then pressing forward with that chest. It's nice and slow, back and forth. Contract that bicep and tricep as well. Keep those lungs open, just nice, slow, controlled breathing. Really squeezing those muscles against each other as you go through this. And let that one relax. We're going to nice and slow start into a rotation. Start with just a really slow motion back and forth, trying to get as much range of motion as you can. Again, slowly starting to warm those muscles up, trying to get a little more range of motion out of it, limbering those muscles and ligaments up a little bit more. Then start slowly speeding up as you can. Try to keep those hips relatively stationary. You're just rotating through those shoulders. Now we're going to add a little extra motion into it. So as you come across, that elbow is going to come across and down. You're going to kind of crunch with those abs as well. Warm those abs up. Crunch and twist. Pull that knee up across. Really kind of squeeze it up and across, forcing those hips to go the opposite direction from those shoulders. Get a little extra stretch out of that torso. And go ahead and let that one relax. Nice flat back. Rotating through those hips. Rotate around. Pause at the bottom. Then rotate back the opposite direction. Keep those lungs open again. Start relatively slow, relatively small if you need to, if you're pretty tight or cold. And then start working that range of motion larger and larger as you start warming up and you start getting a little bit more limber. You can do the same exact motion, but this time we're going to freeze those hips. We're going to do it just around your abdominal muscles or around your core muscles. So nice and slow, crunch it forward, roll those shoulders forward, keep those hips straight up and down, off to the side, back, down, pause in front, then back around the opposite direction. Just keep rotating back and forth, really trying to exaggerate that motion. So really crunch forward in the front, off to the side, trying to lean as much as you possibly can. Stretch back, pull those shoulders behind you, off to the other side. Crunch it forward again, roll those shoulders forward, and back the opposite direction. And go ahead and let that relax. We're going to start into those hips again one more time. We're gonna do a little bit of a toe touch. Bring that leg up, same leg, out, reaching out towards that toe, kind of crunching forward and reaching down as you lift that leg up. Try to keep that leg relatively straight. We're going to switch sides. Go and switch. Same exact motion, just on the opposite side. Keep that leg relatively straight. Bring that toe up nice and high, reaching down towards that toe with that hand. A little bit of rotation through that shoulder. A little bit of a crunch as you come down towards that foot. And let that relax. Really start moving with those hips now. We're going to do a nice deep squat, slow motion. Just go down as low as is comfortable. Then right back up again, trying to get as much range of motion through those hips as you can. Nice deep squat. Try to keep that back relatively flat. If you want to, you can start changing the stance of your feet. So either a narrow squat or a wide squat. Those feet turned out really nice and deep, just get a little bit different part of that hip. A few different styles. Come back up to the center, get those feet moving, just kind of jogging in place, a little bit of a boxer shuffle. The last one, we're just going to do a little bit of a jumping jack. Just to get the heart rate up just a little bit more, get you nice and warm in case you're not already. All right, let's go ahead and start up. Nice full jumping jack, arms nice and straight. Tiny, tiny bit of a bend in that elbow if you want, but just don't do a real hard bend. Try to keep those arms nice and rigid. Try to keep that shoulder joint nice and rigid. Same thing with those legs, those hip and knee joint. Just a nice quick motion. Snapping back and forth. Go for just a little bit longer. Keep those lungs open. And let it relax. All right, nice big deep breath. We're going to be starting into that routine here in just a second. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. Our first two exercises are going to be a high pull catch and squat, and then a Russian twist. So the high pull catch and squat is you're going to grab that sandbag, pop it up to your chest. You're actually going to hug it underneath, drop down nice and slow, then drop the sandbag, then pop it back up again. Russian twist, sitting on your tailbone, rotating left to right. So let's go ahead and get these two started up. Like I said, there's no extra break in between these groups, so as soon as we start this one, we're just going to run right into the next once we have our repetitions done or our sets done. So let me go ahead and get our timer started here. Go ahead and grab that sandbag, get down nice and low, and start up. Pop it up, hug it underneath, down, and drop it. Pop it up, squat down, and drop it. Remember, we're going for full 45 seconds. Then you get 15 seconds to drop down on the ground and get ready for that Russian twist. Nice slow squat on the way down. Nice quick pop on the way up. Almost done. Got about just under 10 seconds left. Nice and slow down. Let it relax. Go and sit down on the tailbone. For that Russian twist. You don't have to use the weight for this one, but I'm going to just to make it a little bit harder. Just bring it up to those shoulders. Nice flat back. Rotate left to right. If you want to make it a little bit harder on that core, then bring that those hands out a little bit further. That weight out a little further away from your chest. Just remember to keep it centered right at the center of your chest. Don't let those hands kind of sway back and forth. You want it locked right in front. Just lean back. Rotating slowly. Keep those lungs open. Keep that lower back pulled up underneath you. Under 10 seconds left. And let that relax. Go and stand back up. Right back in to that high pull up to that chest. All right, 5 seconds left. And start it. Up. Squat down nice and slow. Quick snap up. Squat down nice and slow. And drop it. Now I'm only using 25 pounds here. A lot of guys will use 50 to 75 pounds. If you can handle that, that's great. I'm using a little bit lighter weight here than I normally would, just to make sure my form is nice and clean so you guys can see it. So 25 pounds is actually a really good weight to start with if you've never ever worked with a sandbag before. If you have, then you know what feels comfortable to you. All right, back to that Russian twist. And start up. Nice flat back. Rotate left to right. For a little harder version, get those hands a little further away from you. Still about a 90-degree angle off of your chest. So they should be right about shoulder socket, about a 90-degree angle away from your chest. Just keep those lungs open. Doesn't matter how you breathe, as long as you don't hold your breath. Just keep it going. There's about 10 seconds left. It's our last one of these. We're going to be switching to 2 new exercises next. Drop it off. Go and stand back up. Got a shoulder to shoulder squat next. Just go ahead and grab that sandbag. You're going to bring it up to one shoulder. If your sandbag has handles on the side, I would suggest using those. So squat down. As you come up, that sandbag comes over your head, back down your shoulder, back down. So pretty smooth motion, no pausing in it. If you're using a really heavy weight, you might need to get a little bit of a hop to help you get it up over your shoulders. Lock out for a second and then back down. But if you're using a little bit lighter weight like I am, just a nice slow controlled motion should do it. 5 seconds left. Our next one is going to be an oblique crunch. Just going to drop down to the ground for this one. So laying on your side, we're going to be doing one side on each set. I'm going to sling it up over my shoulder and crunch it up. So that shoulder comes up at the same time as those legs. So crunch up nice and tight. If you want to make it really difficult, grab that sandbag and do a full extension on that arm, holding it straight up. Just keep that motion going, focusing on getting a really nice tight squeeze on that oblique on the top side of your body. Keep your weight in your waist rather than on your hip. So if you feel yourself coming up onto your hip, lean back more, raise those legs more to push more onto that waist. And let it relax. All right, get that sandbag ready again. We'll be starting it up over those shoulders. And start it. Squat up over your head. Remember, like I said, if you're using a heavier sandbag, you might need to get a little bit of a hop to get that sandbag up over your head. Otherwise, just do what's comfortable. Just keep those lungs open. Nice deep squat every single time. Make sure that back stays perfectly flat. The angle on those shins and that chest should be almost identical. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Down onto that other side that you did before. Same motion. Feet come up, shoulder crunching down towards that hip. Remember, if your weight starts pushing too much into that hip or onto that hip bone, lean back a little bit more. Keep your center of gravity more on your torso than your hip. So lift those legs just a little bit higher, and that should help push you back. Nice tight squeeze on that oblique on the top side. Squeezing that shoulder down towards that hip. At the same time as lifting those legs to keep you off of your hip. And let it relax. All right, that's the second one of those, which means we're moving on to 2 new ones. We're doing push-up to press. So if you have handles, grab them sideways and start it up. Down into a push-up. Snatch it up to your chest, then press it over top. Back down to those feet, pop them back out, push up, snap it back up. It's almost like a burpee, but not quite. So you're doing your push-up off of your fists. You probably can't see my hands very well. I'm not flattening my hand out. I'm actually doing that push-up off of my knuckles, pushed into the sandbag. And let that relax. All right, back down to the ground. We're doing back bows. With this one, I'm gonna sling it over top of my shoulders. Whew, this is gonna hurt really bad. All right, lift it up. Arms and legs come up. Whew, man. That lower back is typically not very strong. So most people probably won't need weight for this. Or you can always put it on your thighs instead to focus more on your glutes. Whew, that burns already. Almost done. And let that relax. Whew, I'm getting nice and tired already. So back to that push-up. All right. Start up. Because I have those hands pretty much right underneath my shoulder, you're going to want to do a tricep push-up rather than a wide one. So keep those elbows back by your rib cage. Just keep those lungs open. Just keep moving. Let it relax. All right, I'm gonna try this one on my thighs this time. All right. Hands start up. Definitely makes it a lot harder to lift those legs. And the further out towards the base of your foot you go, or towards those feet you go, the harder it's gonna be. So, if you want it a little bit harder, just push it out a little bit more. Keep those lungs open. Tight squeeze. Try to get that chest up as high as you can. We're almost done. Oh, let it relax. All right. That was the end of our first half of this. So we're gonna take a little bit of a water break, grab a drink of water, take a little bit of a breather. We'll come back and finish the rest of this, the other half. See you in just a second. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get ready for the second half of this routine. Our first group is going to be an overhead side lunge. So full extension on those arms, that sandbag above your head, moving left to right in a side lunge. The other one is going to be a jackknife crunch. So we're just moving back and forth between those two, just like we did before. So let me go ahead and get my timer started. Grab that sandbag, get it up over top of your head. Feet really nice and wide for that side lunge. And start up, just down on one side and then down on the other. Just keep alternating back and forth, keeping those hands straight up above your head the entire time. Just try to drop out on each side as far as you can. Keep that back perfectly straight. Because of the nature of this exercise, your torso should be pretty much straight up and down the entire time. Just keep those lungs open. Nice deep lunge on each side. Almost done. And let it relax. Going to drop down into your back. Are we doing jackknife crunch for this next one? So almost same exact position with that sandbag. Legs straight up in the air and out, up and crunch. Out, back up and crunch. If you don't want to do this with that extra weight, that's perfectly fine. You can drop it off, but it definitely adds an extra challenge. Just keep those lungs open. Keep that lower back plastered against that mat as best you can. Almost done, about 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, back up. We've got another round of that side lunge coming up. So feet really nice and wide. Sandbag above your head. And start up. Off to each side. As you lunge off, you want to make sure that knee goes right over top of that foot. So you don't want to keep your feet pointed too far forward or too far out to the sides. Try to get those arms locked out. Nice flat back. Whew. I tell you, my shoulders, my deltoids are actually burning more than my legs are right now. And let it relax. Back down on the ground. Another round of that jackknife crunch. And drop it out. If you start to notice your lower back starts to arch up too much, or if you start feeling some pain in that lower back, definitely drop that weight off. If you already have dropped that weight off, then bend those knees. Keep those arms in a little bit closer. Just keep that motion going, keep those lungs open. And let it relax. Whew. All right, next two exercises. We've got a rotational lunge. And then side hip raise. So that rotational lunge, you're gonna step back and rotate away from the leg you're stepping back with. Back up, same thing on the other side, back up. Just keep alternating back and forth. Nice, smooth, even motion. Rotate those shoulders as much as you can, but not those hips. So you want to keep those hips facing straight forward in line with your legs. If it helps, keep your face looking forward and just rotate your shoulders. This is also one that's going to pretty easily throw you off balance. So move slowly at first until you get used to it. Whew, let that relax. Got side hip raise next. Out on that side. Grab that weight up on top of that hip if you want the harder version. Otherwise, keep it on the ground. Full extension for on those legs for the hardest version. I'm probably not going to be able to get all the way through this. This is already really hard. Just go as long as you can. Oh man. All right, I got 20 seconds left. I'm gonna switch off my knees, make it a little bit easier. Again, keep those lungs open. Almost done. Oh, and relax. Whew, you're gonna feel a little lopsided on this next one because you worked that bottom oblique so hard. Okay, another round. This alternating lunge. All right, rotate. Remember, away from the leg you step back with. Keep those lungs open. Rotate those shoulders, not those hips. Drop back down on that rear leg as much as you can. Whoop. Lost my balance a little bit. Remember, take your time, especially if you're using heavy weight. This thing's gonna sling you all over the place if you start moving too quickly. So really take your time and control that weight. Whew. And let it relax. Got one more. That side hip raise. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side of your body. So full extension to start out with. Try to match the same amount of time you did on the other side if you did two different versions. Keep those lungs open. And switch. If you were following me, should be feeling this on the bottom side of your body, and the oblique on the bottom side. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. Oh man, that burns. All right, we got one more group left. This one you're gonna need to slide that bag. So if you're on a carpet, sorry, this is just gonna be hard. I have at least a little bit of a flat surface. So up in a plank, grab that kettle or that sandbag, you're gonna pull it sideways, grab it with the other hand, pull it back. Just keep alternating back and forth, just holding that position. Try to keep those hips as stationary as you can. Don't turn and jerk, rolling those hips. Try to keep them facing straight down. 10 seconds left. And let it relax. Whew. All right. Half Turkish get up. So
grab that weight, toss it up on your shoulder. Whichever shoulder you have it on, that opposite leg is going to be the one you have out straight. And bring those hips up and back down. That's all there is to it. Back down, roll that shoulder up. Brace yourself with that rear arm. And press those hips up. Just keep that motion going. Keep those lungs open. 5 seconds left. And let it relax. All right, reset that sandbag for that plank. We're doing plank with a lateral pull. And start up. Just keep those core muscles nice and tight. Just alternating back and forth. Keep those hips down as low as is comfortable. Try not to kick up really high. Try to keep a nice, clean form on that plank. 10 seconds left. Oh man, that hurts. All right, grab that sandbag. We got one more exercise. So all opposite side out. And start up, crunch up, press yourself up, squeeze, and back down. Crunch up, brace yourself with that arm, squeeze those legs, back down. Just keep it going. Core muscles nice and tight, lungs open, don't hold your breath. Keep going, this is our last one. Keep pushing through it, nice and clean. And let it relax. All right. Get that sandbag out of the way. Yeah, we'll keep the mat. We're gonna do a little bit of a cool down. Let those muscles relax just a little bit. Take a short little breath. We're gonna start in with those arms. Mainly just trying to shake them out just a little bit. So just kind of swinging back and forth at first. Keep those lungs open. If you want to add in another routine with this video, go ahead and pause it here and jump off to that other routine. You don't need to do a cool down before you do another workout. So go ahead and pause it and take off. Otherwise, if this is your last routine for the day, or at least for this bout of exercise, then go through the routine, or go through the cool down with me. So I'm gonna grab that arm, across that elbow, pull across in front of your body. Should feel it through your deltoid and into your rhomboid, across that upper back. Squeeze across, keeping it as close to your body as you can. Same time as pulling with that other arm. Nice big full breath. Do the same thing on the other side. Bring that other arm across. Keep those lungs open. Nice big deep breaths, trying to recover as best you can, as quickly as possible. Let that one relax. That opposite arm back up. Reach towards that shoulder. Grab that elbow with the other hand and pull across. Keep those lungs open. And go ahead and drop it foot. Same thing on the other side. Hand up to your shoulder, grab that elbow, pull across. And let that relax. You're gonna come up against a wall if you have one handy. Fingers facing back behind you. Rotate that chest back towards that hand. Squeeze it back as far as you can. The further you go back across this way as you rotate, the more you're gonna feel it in your forearm and possibly your bicep. But we're trying to focus mainly on that chest. So if you're feeling it too much in your bicep, roll that arm so your inside your elbow is facing up. Do the same thing on the other side. Fingers facing back behind you. And stretch. Just keep those lungs open. And let that relax. Go ahead and drop down onto the ground. One leg kicked out straight, other leg tucked in nice and close. Reach down towards that leg. You should feel stretched that torso as well through that hamstring. Bring that hand over top of your head. Stretch it down or stretch towards that foot. Same foot as you're going with the other hand. Like I said, should feel it through your hamstring on your back. Should feel it around the back of that thigh and should feel it through that torso as well on that opposite side from the direction you're leaning. The more you bring that hand over your head, the more you should feel that stretch too. Same thing on the other side. Tuck that foot in, bring the other one out, stretch down towards that leg. Keep those lungs open. And let that relax. So that was your torso. So now we need to go through that lower back, we'll go through those abdominals first. So lay down flat on your stomach. Get all the way through that core. So arch that back up really nice and high. Look up towards the ceiling. Get those shoulders pressed down towards the mat. Don't let them crunch up towards those ears. Arch it back. Should feel a little bit of stretch to your abdominal muscles as well as possibly into the front of that hip flexor. Front of those hips. And let that relax. Sit back into those heels. Start with those hands out away from you. Stretch them out. Let that lower back release. And bring those hands in by about the top of that knee. Press into your palm. Round those shoulders as much as you can, pulling those shoulders down into those hips. Really stretch that back. And let that one relax. Go and flip back over onto your back. Cross one leg over top. Grab behind that thigh. Pull in nice and close. Should feel it on the glute, that opposite leg. So really pulling in nice and tight. As close as it's comfortable. Remember, a stretch shouldn't be painful. It should be a little bit of discomfort there, but not pain. Just pull that leg in as close as is comfortable. Go and switch sides. Same thing on the other leg. Grab behind that thigh, pull it in. Keep those lungs open. Let it relax. Stretch those arms and legs out in opposite directions. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, then press those hands and feet in opposite directions. Inhale again. Arch that lower back up. Really press those hands and feet in opposite directions. Arch that back. And exhale, let it release. One more time. Inhale, arch it up. Stretch those hands and feet in opposite directions. Exhale, let it relax. All right, and that is the end of this routine, which means this workout is complete. Good job, guys. See you next time.